What's up, everybody? Back with another video. In this video, we are not doing a reaction. We are talking about a topic, and obviously, you see the title. This is very much off the cuff. This is literally 5:07 a.m. in the morning, coming off of a solo leveling reaction, the one that is coming out, episode 10, if it's not out already. Um, and I just want to say that there's a debate going on, or maybe not a debate, but a topic that is being discussed very heavily. I feel like in the anime space, from what I've seen mainly on Twitter, but it could be happening. I wouldn't be surprised if it's happening throughout all the different social medias where people are trying to, I guess, discredit or say negative things about solo leveling, in the sense that solo leveling is carried by its animation, right? That the story is not good enough that we would enjoy it without the animation. And I think partially that is true. I think that can be considered the case. The story is not the most substance. It's not something with the most substance, right? It's not the deepest. It doesn't have a same amount of depth, like other animes may have. There's not a lot of messages and all these other things. But I think when you watch a show like Solo Leveling, and they have an idea for it, right? You read the manhwa, you watch the anime, you have an idea that the whole point of Jinwoo's arc and character arc and the show is that he went from an E rank who had a lot of faith in, the hunters and everything, and someone who was very weak. Some entity gave him a chance, and from that chance, he was able to excel past a ton of people, get a bunch of fame, get a bunch of money, and do things he actually wanted to do, all with a subtext of what the system has going on, which is very interesting. I would like to point that out before I get to my main point, is that even though the story at the moment, 2 seasons in, is not like the deepest, right? Because Jeju Island is the main story that they're putting in front of us, but the subplot is the system. And I think that is extremely interesting. I don't think the answer is going to be super deep. I don't think the answer is going to be Infinite Tsukiyomi or anything like that. But I think that it's very interesting with how they're doing the demons and the dungeons, and the dad coming out of the dungeon and talking about this entity that could be Jinwoo, that's made to be the destroyer of everything, and then can just adapt and all that, right? And seeing that, okay, the humans are going into the dungeons, and the dungeons are meant to kill the humans, and Jinwoo doesn't have the subplot that they are touching on underneath that, along with adding in Jinwoo's distrust of humans, dislike of humans, like a demon would, right? But then meeting people who haven't betrayed him and kind of keeping that humanity, so he's kind of 2 worlds. I think that is very interesting, and I think it's being looked over because of what the show wants to give. And I think with a show like Solo Leveling, with an anime like Solo Leveling, you it is for the fights, right? It is for the moments. It is for Jinwoo being strong. Like that's the whole thing. That is the bread and butter. That is the consistent. Uh, I can't think of the word. That's the consistent thread in all this, right? Is that Jinwoo used to be weak. He got stronger, and now he can showcase that ever growing strength. The assassin, right? B rank situation, the dungeons, the going up against S ranks, the killing the A ranks, the arise, the way he can go into other dungeons by himself without people knowing, the way he can ever grow. Like the main idea of the show is watch this character be strong and do strong shit. So I think to discredit it by being like, oh, we only, if it wasn't for the animations, to say it in that way is a little disingenuous, and it's a little harsh and just facetious because they're going in knowing that this anime is about the moment. So yes, you have to have the animation do that because it's curated for that. You know what I mean? Like, uh, I think if you want to say that this anime is goated or that it's your favorite or that it's a goated anime, is top 10 of all time, I think that's fair. I don't think we should be comparing it to things like Naruto or even Bleach or One Piece or Death Note or whatever, because I feel like those type of people, I feel like there's the people who only watch certain animes and they only want to see the fights, right? And there's people who only want to see the story, and there's people who want to see a mix of both and all that. And I think everyone has their like righteousness about them, and I just think that the people, and I'm one of them, not righteous, but I'm one of the people who very much enjoys a good story. Characters, I prefer that over everything. Give me a filler episode. I want to see the characters at the beach. I want to see that bond. Like, I'm very much that person, but I can understand the greatness that is solo leveling, right? I can understand why someone would think this is goaded because not only is the MC super cool, like to an astounding level, he continues to grow, and all the way he's cool makes sense, and then the story plots and everything underneath it is also very interesting and fun to see, and it brings you anxiety. It does bring on a lot of emotions, you know. It doesn't harp on those emotions a lot. It doesn't bring them up too often, but they are prevalent in the show. And I don't know really what I had in mind for like an end goal. This wasn't a spreadsheet. This wasn't a Google Doc or a Word doc where I had bullet points. I'm not a, you know, topic talking type of anime reactor, but it's just something I saw where I was like, you know what? I'm going to yap about it. I'm going to yap about it. And I just wanted to talk about how I think it's okay to, if you wanted to put solo leveling next to Naruto, I think you're well in your rights to do that because you are saying that solo leveling is goaded because of the moment, because of the animation, because of how cool he is, because of that. The same way you're saying Naruto is goaded because of how deep the motifs are, how deep the messaging and what it means with relationships and characters and story and how it developed. Like, these are two very different points that does not mean that either or cannot be goaded. Just because the animation from back then maybe not suited to you and it's not as clean or as crisp or as clear does not make it any less of a goated anime because of its story, because of how it's progressed, because of how it ended. And just because this maybe not be as deep does not mean it's not goated. It may not be goated for you, but to say it cannot be a goat anime, I think is righteousness and a bit of gatekeeping. I think we need to adjust our criteria for what undisputed GOAT is and what that may mean. And I think that's really what I'm getting at the end of this video is that maybe it's not a GOAT to you, but if it's a GOAT to someone, and I mean a genuine GOAT, like I'm talking about like down the line, a bunch of like a huge fandom is still talking about soul leveling. It still has soul leveling tattoos and merch and is inspired by soul leveling, inspired by Jinwoo, inspired by what the ending is talking about it, brings it up. It's like, oh, if you want to get into anime, you watch this. You know what I mean? Like if it's in those conversations, just because it's not as deep as the others does not mean that it cannot be a part of that GOAT conversation. I'm not saying you have to cement it. I think there's some animes that earn their cementation, that earn their spot, right? The big three, and Dragon Ball are the only ones that are undeniably goated. Like you cannot argue that. That is Mount Rushmore of anime because of the impact that they had, still have, and are having. But there's a bunch of new animes that have made it to the scene who will put on their Mount Rushmore, will put on their top tens, will add to the list because of what it means to them. And there's never going to be a solidified like best ever all around. Everyone is going to agree, but I don't think you should say Solo Leveling can't be goaded on that level just because it doesn't have motifs and all this other stuff. If it's doing what the show wants to be done, then it's already in conversations for being great. If the show wants moments and the show wants uh, the anime to be about the animation, and the manhwa very much pushes for it to be about the moments and the animation, and they excel and they are excellent with those moments and capturing those moments and the feelings and how it goes and what you're supposed to feel. If it does what it's supposed to do, and it's fun to watch and it's good to follow and it's easy to digest in its own way, because something that is very deep can be easy to digest as well. That's not a knock on it. Then I think it can be in those conversations. So is Solo Leveling carried by its animation? Yes, because that was the intention, and that is okay. Like, share, subscribe, comment. I appreciate you all. I love you all as long as I can. Don't forget to hit that bell so you get notification every time I post a video. I'll be here next week. Hopefully you're here with me. See you next time.